Golden light filtered through white silk drapes, casting soft shadows across the polished walnut floors of the Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom. Outside Fifth Avenue glittered like a river of diamonds limousines, lining up in an endless procession. Ellie Vance stood alone by the French windows, her hand resting gently on the cold glass. Her finger paused for a moment, almost as if she were testing whether the barrier between her and the city was truly there. Behind her, the sharp clinking of crystal glasses rang out. A Mozart symphony swirled through the air, drowned out by long, loud, hollow laughter. The heavy blend of Chanel No. 5 Baccarat Rouge and Tom Ford Oud Wood hung in the air like a fog, making her wrinkle her nose slightly. Ellie inhaled, held her breath, then exhaled slowly. She wore a charcoal grey silk dress, no lace, no sequins, nothing revealing. So minimal that most wouldn't notice. But an elderly designer sitting near the fireplace stared intently, nodding ever so slightly when he saw the asymmetrical collar-stitch signature of Loro Piana. A group of guests passed by. No one stopped, no one said hello. Ellie was like a strange piece of furniture, visible to all yet touched by none. She held no wine glass. She didn't smile. She took no selfies. She simply watched. Across the room, Liam Peterson laughed with a crowd of Silicon Valley investors. The expensive tuxedo couldn't hide the flicker of unease in his eyes when he accidentally caught sight of her. Ellie looked back just for a moment, then turned away, expressionless, her hair dark brown, left down naturally. No bun, no hairspray. Her face bare of makeup, save for her eyes, calm, but razor-sharp, scanning every corner of the ballroom that gleamed like a resurrected Versailles. And Ellie counted silently. How many of those smiles were real? How many people remembered the name of the person standing next to them? How many blessings tonight would turn into blades once the music stopped? She didn't come to stand out. She came to witness a wedding, a promise broken, an American dream cracked. And if anyone had looked closely enough, they would have noticed that the strangest thing at that party wasn't the six-tier champagne tower or the wedding cake taller than a grown man, but a woman standing still like a ghost amid a room drunk on pretending to be alive. "Ellie, darling." The voice cracked through the air like a silk-covered slap. Brittany Davenport appeared as if choreographed, her Vera Wang wedding gown hugging her body, the mermaid train nearly 3 meters long, sweeping across the mirror-polished floor. Her platinum hair was pinned in a high bun, Swarovski crystals glittering under the chandelier. "Didn't think you'd actually show up." Brittany's smile was sugar-sweet, but her eyes were cold, metallic cold, like a blade honed a little too sharp. Ellie turned. "I came to congratulate Liam," she replied, her voice no louder than necessary. Brittany's gaze slid down from Ellie's head to toe, from the worn satin shoes to the understated grey silk dress. "You look nostalgic." She tilted her head slightly. "Just like the old days back in our little poor neighborhood." A slash delivered without disguise. And only one person could have supplied that piece of Ellie's past, Liam. Ellie didn't flinch. She reached into her small handbag and pulled out a gift wrapped in brown craft paper, tied with thin twine. No bow, no name tag. "I brought a gift for the groom." Brittany took it, her curiosity quickly curling into a smirk. She tore the wrapping. An old book emerged, The Great Gatsby. The leather cover was worn, the corners bent. "This," Brittany laughed, "old books, so fitting for you." She flipped to the first page. A small card fell out. She didn't bother picking it up, just skimmed a few lines, then let it drop onto the table. "Let's add this to the gift area next to the $1 million stuff." "Yeah," Brittany called out, signaling to a staff member. Then she slammed the book down like a broken toy. "I'm sure Liam will be moved." She turned away, her sparkling ponytail catching the light like silver waves. Ellie bent to pick up the card, slipped it back into the book, then walked away from the table without another word. A staff member nearby, an older waiter, watched quietly. "The Great Gatsby," he murmured to himself. "The green light, and dreams that get swallowed whole." He was the only one in that ballroom who understood that the gift wasn't a blessing. It was a goodbye. A reminder that Liam once dreamed a different dream, and now he had chosen to trade it away for a glittering bride and a $3 million wedding. "Oh my God!" A fake gasp pierced the air. Red wine spilled straight down Ellie's dress, spreading like blood across the charcoal silk. "So sorry," the blonde bridesmaid chirped, still holding her glass, her smile cool and untouched. "Slipped right out of my hand. Your dress really soaks it up, doesn't it?" Ellie said nothing. She bent down, pulled a white napkin from the table, and gently dabbed the stain. No scrubbing, no panic. "Wait, who let the waitstaff into the VIP section?" A middle-aged man in a red tie, joked voice, half laughing, half serious. Laughter burst from those nearby. Some reached for their phones. Others pretended not to notice. Ellie stood up straight. Her dress was blotched and ruined. Her face remained still unreadable. From across the room, Liam saw everything, as if he just happened to glance that way, as if his eyes hadn't been searching for her. He saw the wine-soaked napkin in her hand. The bridesmaid was calling for another drink, all innocence. He saw Ellie alone, and he turned away. Ellie didn't flinch, didn't bite her lip. She simply tucked the napkin into her bag, as if it were any other moment in her day. Then came the whispers, deliberately loud enough to hear. "Liam used to date her. Word is, they went to community college together. Back before he could tell real cashmere from polyester, I guess." Each comment sliced like a shallow cut, not deep, but relentless. Ellie walked past the group, one slow step at a time, as if through fog. A middle-aged woman lightly touched her shoulder and whispered, "Don't let them see you flinch, dear." Ellie nodded. Just once, barely, then moved on. No one noticed her hand tighten for a moment. No one saw her pause half a step before passing Liam. But she looked at him, and he, though mid-conversation with an investor, glanced back. Their eyes met for less than a second. But it was enough. Ellie had seen all of it. Not just the taunts, but the silence. Silence, the most insidious, most painful betrayal. She didn't lash out, didn't cry. She simply stood there, a statue in the eye of a petty storm. And it was that very calm that unsettled the crowd. They had wanted a victim. Instead, they saw a witness, and that made them afraid. The music swelled into a grand waltz. The MC lifted the microphone, his voice booming through the speakers. "Let's welcome the bride and groom to pour the first glass at the Champagne Tower." Spotlights converged on the six-tier tower, taller than Ellie, standing at the center of the dance floor like a monument to excess. Brittany took Liam's hand and stepped forward. Her white gown fanned out like a smug cloud. She caught sight of Ellie, standing near the edge of the red carpet, silent, just watching. A smile curled on Brittany's lips, not the smile of joy, but of someone about to press detonation. She leaned in, pretending to pose for a photo. And in that instant, she shoved. Ellie was pushed off the carpet, her heels slipping on marble damp with champagne mist. Time slowed. She didn't scream, didn't reach out, just one sharp breath held tight. And then crash. The entire tower collapsed. A cascade of glass exploded around her. Ice-cold champagne poured over Ellie head to toe. The floor was slick with liquor and glass shards. Her dress clung to her soaked body. hair disheveled, dripping. "Oh my God!" Brittany shrieked, hands over her mouth like a daytime soap star. I I didn't see her there. Some people really don't know where to stand." Laughter erupted, from bridesmaids, from men in tailored suits. Phone cameras clicked in rapid fire, a storm of flashes. Someone live-streamed. Another was filmed in slow motion. Ellie stood, slowly. Every movement is like emerging from the wreckage of an earthquake. Wet hair covered part of her face. The silk clung to her trembling skin. She didn't fix her hair, didn't flinch. She simply lifted her head and looked. Her gaze didn't search for Brittany, didn't scan the whispering crowd. She looked at Liam. Liam still holding the champagne bottle, eyes frozen over. Amid hundreds laughing, only two eyes locked, Ellie's and Liam's. No tears, no screaming, just a calm, cold stare, like the edge of a blade against the throat. "I see you. I've always seen you." No words were spoken, but everyone felt them. And in that moment, the glittering lie of the celebration was stripped bare by a woman drenched, standing tall, never breaking eye contact with the man who once dared to dream with her. The shattered glass hadn't been cleaned up yet. The room still buzzed with whispers layered over a soundtrack of abruptly abandoned music. Ellie stepped back, her champagne-soaked heels making a sticky, muffled sound against the marble floor. Across the room, Liam hadn't moved. He stared at the lone book on the gift table, The Great Gatsby, its wrapping soaked through the corners, curling inward. He walked over and picked it up, as if touching a memory left out in the rain. The leather cover reeked of alcohol and the past. When he opened it, the small card slipped into his hand. "Remember who we wanted to be. Liam, not them." The handwriting was soft, but bitter. His grip tightened, heart pounding. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A message from his assistant, "Mr. Vance is on his way up. He wants to know why his wife is being treated this way." The room tilted, and then the doors of the grand ballroom swung open. Every head turned. Julian Vance entered. No announcement, no bodyguards. He wore a midnight blue Tom Ford suit, tailored to the millimeter. His face carried the gravity of Roman marble. His eyes, ice-sharp, scanned for no one except one person, Ellie. He walked past gilded banquet tables, past gaping stares, and swallowed whispers. When he reached her, he said nothing, just removed his cashmere coat and draped it over Ellie's shoulders, gentle, firm. His scent, cedarwood and mint, cut through the stale stench of old champagne. The entire room held its breath. Julian took Ellie's hand, still ice-cold, and turned to Liam. No fury, no shouting, just a single question, like a verdict, waiting to fall. "This is how you treat someone who once believed in you." Liam stammered, but words never came. Julian looked around the ballroom. Slowly, deliberately, faces turned pale under his gaze. He placed his hand on Ellie's back, shielding her like a living wall. And in that silence, thick and heavy, it was as if a velvet curtain had been pulled away, revealing a naked truth beneath brutality dressed up as civility, cowardice wrapped in tuxedos. And in the center of it all, Ellie, drenched and chilled, but unbowed, stood tall, her eyes no longer searching for justice, but waiting for something deeper. Justice, yes, but this time with consequences. No one dared to move. Phones were slowly lowered. The crowd that had been laughing moments ago now stood frozen like wax figures. Julian looked at Ellie, his eyes filled with a quiet ache. He spoke not loudly, but with a clarity that cut straight through to the bone. "I'm sorry for letting you face this alone." It wasn't an excuse. It was recognition that she had fought by herself, and he had arrived too late. Then he turned to Liam. His voice changed deeper, firmer like a judge's gavel striking wood. "We don't invest in companies, Liam. We invest in people." Liam swallowed hard. Brittany stepped closer, about to speak, but Julian raised a hand. She froze mid-breath. "True wealth," Julian continued, scanning the crowd, "isn't found in six-figure gowns or five-star hotel weddings. It's in how you treat others when you think no one is watching." The air tightened, stretched to its breaking point. Julian inhaled, then stepped closer to Liam, not threatening, but the weight of his presence made the room feel smaller. "And tonight, you showed me exactly who you are." He turned to Brittany, said nothing, but his gaze alone made her flush, then pale. Then Julian faced the entire room. "All of you," he said, hand sweeping lightly, as if drawing a curtain closed on a farce, "failed." The whispers began again. Someone lifted a phone, hesitating between dialing or recording. Julian didn't flinch. He placed an arm around Ellie's waist, solid, steady. "The $500 million deal is off. As of now." The words fell like a gunshot. Someone in the back shouted, "What?" Another voice whispered, "No way." But Julian didn't look back. He looked at Ellie, and she looked at him. Soft eyes for the first time that evening. No longer a lone figure surrounded by wolves. In that moment, every chandelier, every symphony, every hollow toast faded into irrelevance. Only one truth remained. Integrity is never out of style. 07:14 a.m. New York time. The hashtag Plaza Wedding Disaster hit #1 worldwide just 8 hours after the event. TikTok is flooded with clips of Ellie being shoved. Slow-motion edits, dramatic music, captions like, "The woman in the grey dress, a masterclass in dignity." Twitter exploded. An anonymous account posted a clip of Julian's line, "True wealth is how you treat people when you think no one is watching." 3.4 million likes, 1.1 million shares. CNN, Fox News, NBC all opened their morning shows with Vance Capital Council's $500 million deal over character clause. The Wall Street Journal ran the headline, "Business Ethics Reborn. Julian Vance redefines Wall Street with one wedding." Forbes listed multiple investment partners, removing Liam Peterson from their portfolios. Brittany lost 3 luxury brand deals within 12 hours. Her Instagram shifted from glossy wedding posts to emptiness. Top comments: "That Vera Wang dress couldn't cover up a rotten personality." "Fact, Ellie is what quiet luxury actually looks like." On LinkedIn, a former employee of Liam wrote, "He once said, 'I only invest in people who benefit me.'" Now we see how that turned out. The post gained over 250,000 reactions. The internet tracked down nearly every face at the wedding. The bridesmaid who spilled the wine was fired by the event company. The man who called Ellie a waitress lost his job at a PR firm. Social media dubbed it the people's online trial. But through it all, the one person who said nothing was Ellie. No interviews, no posts, no statements. She disappeared from the media radar, leaving behind a world obsessed with the version of her they thought they knew. And that silence was exactly what made them respect her more. In an age where everyone screams to prove they're right, she chose silence. And through that silence, Ellie became a symbol. Not because she was knocked down, but because she rose quietly with dignity and let the world see the truth for itself. An April afternoon, clear skies, a soft breeze. Brooklyn glows under golden sunlight, thin as honey. No cameras, no wedding gowns, no champagne towers, just a 3-story red brick library, newly restored after years of abandonment. A fresh sign hung at the gate, "Vance Community Library, where dreams begin again." In the courtyard, The laughter of children echoed. They ran between mobile book carts, clutching comic books, eyes bright with wonder. Ellie sat on the steps, wearing a cream-colored linen dress, her hair loosely tied back, and old flat sandals on her feet. No makeup, none needed. A little girl with curly hair climbed into her lap, holding Charlotte's Web. "Miss Ellie, this spider is so smart." Ellie smiled, wrapping her arms around the child. "And brave too," she said. "Just like you." Julian stood a few feet away, arms folded, leaning against a stone column. His eyes never left her. There was something in that look, not pride, but gratitude. Gratitude that after everything she still chose to believe in the world. A young journalist approached, notepad in hand. He was thin, nervous. "Excuse me, Miss Ellie, I'm with the New York Times. May I ask one question?" Ellie looked up, gave a gentle nod. "About the Plaza. Do you ever regret showing up that day?" She paused for a beat, then looked toward the children playing. Her eyes softened. Her voice was barely more than a whisper. "I didn't go there to ruin a wedding. I went to say goodbye to a promise I once believed was real." The reporter opened his mouth for a follow-up, but she raised her hand slightly, asking for stillness. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small, faded card. She placed it into his palm. "My answer is here." He opened it, handwritten in elegant script. "My greatest wealth has never been something that could be ruined by champagne." No name, no signature, just a declaration. She turned back to the children. Julian stepped forward and held out his hand. She took it without looking. Their hands had learned to find each other in silence. Together, they walked into the library, where pages turned like wounds being gently healed. No applause, no camera flashes, just a quiet afternoon, a few smiles, and the murmur of stories being read aloud to children who never had a place to begin. And there, in a world that no longer demanded proof, Ellie Vance found herself again. Not as the groom's ex, not as the woman humiliated online, not even as Julian Vance's wife, but as someone who lived by her values, someone who chose peace over performance, someone who understood that when you know who you are, the world can't touch you unless you let it. Maybe all of us have been Ellie at some point, walking quietly into a room where we knew we didn't belong, judged by appearance, by history, by differences we couldn't hide. And maybe we've been Liam too, once filled with noble ideals, only to stay silent when injustice rose, afraid of losing what we had. The Ghost at the Feast isn't just a story about a ruined wedding. It's a character test, a warning to a world obsessed with surface over substance. Ellie didn't win by shouting. She didn't need a stage. She didn't strike back. She won with silence, by stood tall when the whole room tried to bring her down. And that's the most important lesson this story leaves behind. Integrity is never out of style. Sometimes you don't need to react. You just need to show up clear-grounded as yourself. And that's enough. We live in an age where everything can be edited, filtered, and disguised. But the one thing that can't be faked is character. At Toch Story, we tell stories that aren't perfect, not sugar-coated, not afraid of the truth. We tell them to remind each other that kindness, courage, and inner worth still exist and deserve to be celebrated. So if you've ever felt overlooked, ever walked into a room wondering, am I enough? Ever lost yourself trying to please others? Then this channel is for you. Subscribe to Toch Story, because you deserve stories that make you feel seen. Because sometimes all we need is a voice that believes in us. Thank you for walking with us to the very end. The story may be over, but what it awakens inside you, faith, courage, the will to live true, has only just begun. See you in the next story on Toch Story.